This evening, because it seems that some news reporters and media outlets have nothing better to do than spread lies and inaccurate reports, I feel that it's important we clarify things, but on our terms. I refuse to be bullied into a corner where somebody calls me or sends me a message and wants a one-word response or a one-sentence response from me. We will do it our way, and that is to really clarify matters. So to begin with, let me say a few very quick words. Tonight's session is neither a retraction nor an apology. If I had done something wrong, by all means, I would apologize and I would retract what I said. But I stand by what I said, and I will not retract unless I am proven to be wrong. In that case, of course, we do not have that sense of pride where I have to be right. If anybody tries to prove me wrong, then I will retaliate and I will respond. No, nothing like that at all. So, if at the end it is proven that something was said that is incorrect and invalid, I will be the first to publicly apologize, because that is the way that we have been taught by our scholars. So neither is it a retraction nor is it an apology as well. Nobody put me up to this. Alhamdulillah, I'm not owned by anyone. I'm no one's puppet. So this is my decision 100% to hold this session. As a matter of fact, nobody here even knows what I'm about to say. Nobody actually at all knows what I'm about to say, other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Tayyib. And as I said, there are people who are spreading things because they want, a larger readership and so on and so forth. They're out there, to promote themselves and their papers or whatever it may be. I'm not out to earn any type of fame. I'm not out to earn any type of popularity. I don't get paid for what I do by any organization or by any society or any government or whatever else. None of that. Of course, people will accuse me of that, but what proof is there? Alhamdulillah, I'm very independent as far as that goes. May Allah Jalla wa Ala keep it that way. Now, a few other things. Not that I want to say them, but I have to say, just so people have some background. Yeah, of course, I look like I just stepped off the boat. I get it. Look, all right? But don't judge a person by how they dress. I never dressed this way before. After I went to study and I came back, I decided, hey, I'm comfortable in the clothing that I wear, and I happen to live in a country where I'm free to wear what I want. People are free to walk around not half naked, less than, clothing themselves less than halfway. People dress in the clothing that, that they are comfortable in. People who are from different parts of the world dress in different ways. So guess what? I happened to pick this up while I was studying overseas. I'm comfortable in it, and so I wear it, and the country I live in gives me the right to do so. All right? Now, for those who may think I'm unfamiliar with Canadian culture, well, listen, I grew up here. Okay? It's been about 45 years, if plus minus a couple months, that I've been in this country since I was in grade 3. So I think I know the culture well enough. Okay? I went to public school all my life. I never went to a private school. There were no Islamic private schools actually at the time that I was growing up anyways. So I'm very familiar with the culture. I lived with the people of this country. I may not have been good at it, but I even played street hockey. It's not as though I'm now speaking and I'm insensitive and I don't know how people think. I know all of that. Alhamdulillah. All right. I know I look stupid, but come on, give me a little bit of credit. Okay. The other thing I want people to understand is, the audience that I speak to, I will not insult their intelligence. People that I address, I believe and I know, have minds with which they can think. They are intelligent people. They know that this is no private club and there are no hidden messages. Whatever has to be said is said clearly and openly. Alhamdulillah, there are no hidden messages. I don't have a following, I'm not the head of a cult or anything of that nature. We don't believe in all that garbage to begin with, all right? So what you see is what you get. Unedited, uncut. If we were so afraid, and we wouldn't even post these things. We have no problem posting them because we believe that the vast majority of people out there are intelligent. And they will listen. Now, of course, there are those like the ones that I spoke of, some reporters and some media who want to stir up trouble. So they will cut and paste. They will selectively, take parts of a person's speech and put it out there for them to get more visitors on their websites, for people to buy their papers, for people to check out their channels on YouTube or wherever it may be. Okay, my audience, alhamdulillah, are Muslims who understand, who are intelligent. And the people that I engage with, the people I interact with, I don't insult their intelligence. So I speak to them clearly, and they understand where I'm coming from. All right? I've spoken to many different chaplains, okay? We don't have problems. We understand that we have two different faiths, and our faiths are not the same. I am a disbeliever in their faith as they are disbelievers in mine. Not a big deal. What is the big deal? If I believed in that faith, I would have followed it. If they believed in my faith, they would have followed it. So, as I said, we have to be intelligent about things, and we cannot simply get emotional and take words that people who are out to cause trouble put out there out of context. Okay? This is why when someone called me yesterday, for example, demanding that I elaborate on what I said, my question was, have you even taken the time to listen to what I said? Or did you suffice with some of the clips that are out there? Eventually, of course, he said that no, he's heard snippets. Well, I said, go and do, for goodness sake, if you're calling yourself a reporter, then go and do your homework. Don't just come out and think that, I have to give you a quick explanation and everything will be okay. Well, have you heard? Why are you accusing me of having said something that is detrimental to the Muslim community and so on and so forth when you didn't even hear what I have to say? And all you did was listen to a snippet here or there, and then you thought, this guy is horrible, this guy's a criminal, and I'll report him for hate crimes. This is exactly how some foolish people out there have been behaving. Okay, so I do believe that my audience is an intelligent audience, and I refuse to insult their intelligence as others are trying to insult the intelligence of everyone out there. The other thing that I want to say at the outset is this issue that I'm speaking of is purely from an Islamic perspective. This is a matter of religion. Okay? I happen to be a Muslim. I happen to preach Islam. My life is dedicated to it. Alhamdulillah. Okay? So, the fact being that I'm speaking from an Islamic perspective means that I don't want to give my opinions, my personal opinions. Listen to what the methodology of educated Muslims is. I have so much more to say, but you know that if I were to do it, then the whole introduction will go in all these things that I have to say. So I'm going to try to stick to some of my notes here. I have a bad habit of making notes and then just speaking, and at the end I noticed that, I said 2 lines of it. Okay, so I said that I'm speaking from an Islamic perspective. What does that mean? What do I mean by we follow an Islamic an Islamic manhaj or methodology when doing this. It means, as I said, I'm not going to speak from my opinions. And I will bring to you from the Quran how or what methodology we follow. First, فَلَا وَرَبِّكَ لا يؤمنون حتى يحكموك فيما شجر بينهم ثم لا يجدوا في أنفسهم حرجا مما قضيت ويسلموا تسليما. Okay? But know by your Lord, they will not truly believe until they make you, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, judge concerning that over which they dispute among themselves, and then find within themselves no discomfort, no resistance from what you have judged, and submit in full willing submission. This is number one. This is my methodology. We differed, and here I'm talking about, okay, so even amongst Muslims. And the reality is, just because a person is a Muslim, it doesn't mean they're knowledgeable about Islam. Especially from all the messages that I've been receiving, I can see that the basics are lacking in us, and this is why I have to go back to basics even this evening. Because only then will my comments be clear. Okay? All right. The next verse or ayah that I will use to remind myself and the rest of our methodology. وَمَا كَانَ لِمُؤْمِنٍ وَلَا مُؤْمِنَةٍ إِذَا قَضَى اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ أَمْرًا أَنْ يَكُونَ لَهُمُ الْخِيَرَةُ مِنْ أَمْرِهِمْ. All right? So here, Allah is saying what means, it is not for a believing man or a believing woman. When Allah and His Messenger have decided a matter, that they should thereafter have a choice about their affair. When matters are established in the Quran and in the authentic Sunnah, or the authentic teachings of the Prophet ﷺ, there's no room for my opinion or your opinion. That's it. It came from the Creator. So that is all that matters to us. The next ayah that I will use to remind you of our methodology is فَإِن تَنَازَعْتُمْ فِي شَيْءٍ فَرُدُّوهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَالرَّسُولِ إِن كُنتُمْ تُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ ذَلِكَ خَيْرٌ وَأَحْسَنُ تَأْوِيلًا. So this one here, or this ayah, the meaning of it is, O you who have believed, obey Allah. Actually, I'm starting it from a little bit further back. O you who have believed, obey Allah and obey the Messenger and those in authority among you. Here's the part of the ayah that I want to get across. And if you disagree over anything, refer it to Allah, meaning the Quran, the book of Allah, and the Messenger, that is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And for us, that means going back to his authentic Sunnah or authentic teachings. If you should believe in Allah and the last day, that is the best way and best in result. So this is the methodology that we follow. Before me explaining anything at all, I would like to do a quick fact check. To be very honest with you, when I heard about this article that first appeared in one of the newspapers, I'm not even going to dignify or acknowledge those newspapers because they're not worth it. Okay, so I'm not going to mention their names. So we have this article that comes out based on a little snippet that is a cut and paste hack job by an anti-Islam, anti-Muslim website or organization, whatever you want to call it. And in the article, there are clear lies and misquotations and inaccuracies. Okay? So anyways, I decided, because somebody told me about it, I said I'm not going to read it. I'm not going to bother, because it's a waste of time. And then an article was published after by another paper, and I also said it's a waste of time. I'm not going to read them. But then I decided, I need to speak on this issue because of all these messages that I'm receiving. And unfortunately, I had to go back and read those articles. So let me now go through those articles. I'm not going to read every word of it, but I will mention what's important to me to mention here. Okay? So I want to point out, as I said, I'm going to do a fact check. Point out the inaccuracies in that article. So they mention here that, they saw on a website, and it featured a disturbing video of a Canadian Muslim cleric saying dangerous and hateful things. Okay? And saying that it should alarm us. What did they say here? They said that Sheikh Younus Kathrada is shown telling congregants of the Muslim youth of Victoria, BC, that wishing people a Merry Christmas is worse than murder. My question is, did I actually say that? The writer of this article, did he or she bother going back and listening to what I said? Me, Younus Kathrada, I said to the people, my opinion is that saying Merry Christmas or wishing people a Merry Christmas is worse than murder. I'll come back to that later on. But my first question is, did you hear me say that? Was that my opinion that I put forth? Answer is no. Then they quoted something else, and they said, they gave a quotation. Said Kathrada, who has since removed the video from his Facebook page. Guess what? That video was never removed from my Facebook page. Once again, what type of reporter doesn't even check, doesn't do their homework? Of course, this is their excuse probably to just rely on a snippet of 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, so that is an outright lie. It was never removed from my Facebook page. It was never removed, or was it from the Muslim Youth Victoria page? It was never removed from there. And it wasn't removed from the Muslim Youth of Victoria YouTube channel either, to the best of my knowledge. But it can still be seen on that particular website that they spoke of. And as I said, it is a cut and paste hack job. That is what you can find there. Okay. They went on and they quoted me saying that if a person were to commit every major sin until the end of that quotation, as I said earlier, was that my opinion? Did I say that this is the case? The answer again is an outright no. If you listen, if you actually listen to what I said, you will find that it was not me who said that, and so we will come back to that just a little in just a little while. Listen to this now. Talk about an outright lie, and talk about a lack of intelligence and a lack of logic. This writer says, that's right, this so-called Islamic scholar, by the way, I'm not a scholar, I'm a student of knowledge. All right? And even then, it may be a stretch. But no, I never claimed to be a scholar, by the way. طيب. This so-called Islamic scholar is telling children, it's better to kill your neighbors than wish them a Merry Christmas. I challenge this imbecile of a writer to show me where I said that. I know I'm getting a little bit, my kids told me not to make a fool of myself and whatever. No, but this is fact. This is my reputation. When did I ever say that? I challenge you. I challenge you to show me where I made that statement. Listen, you moron who wrote this, listen and listen carefully. According to your logic then, so first of all, this is a blatant lie. I never said that. I never hinted at that. I have an intelligent audience. Not a single person in that audience took away what you just stated. Allegedly, something that I said. We had children in the audience. We had adults, their parents in the audience. Do you think that those parents would not have dragged me off the mimbar, off the pulpit, if I was telling their children to do what? According to this idiotic writer, that's right, this so-called Islamic scholar is telling children it's better to kill your neighbors than wish them a Merry Christmas. As I said, it's a blatant lie, an attempt to cause anti-Muslim and anti-Islam sentiment. I'm sure of that. Okay? And if it's not the case, then I don't know what it is. Listen, this logic. Let's take this logic. Now, if I said, let's assume for a moment that I said what they claim I said earlier on. If you committed every major sin, then, as far as wishing someone a Merry Christmas is concerned, that is more severe than those sins. Let's say for the sake of argument that was my opinion and I presented it, I put it forth. Okay, then by that logic, if this person now is saying that it means I was telling children to kill their neighbors because that is, better than wishing somebody Merry Christmas, then by that logic, if I were to say to a group of people, perhaps a group that thinks like that individual who have skewed and warped minds, maybe that's what it would be, but I'm talking about normal people like you and me. Normal people like us. If I were to say that committing murder is more serious of a crime and it is more severe than stealing, if I were to make that statement, could you conclude that I am now saying to my audience, part of whom are children, go and steal from your neighbors, commit theft? Well, according to that logic, so what kind of human being with any type of intelligence would write such words? I never uttered them, I never hinted them, and by no sane or sound logic could you ever arrive at that conclusion. Of course, there are many, unfortunately I discovered, there are many unintelligent human beings out there who fell for garbage like that. And I could tell from those vulgar, comments that were coming my way. I ignore those because what are you going to do with ignorant people like that? They're convinced already. There's nothing I can do. What do you want me to say? Go back and listen if you really want to know what was said. Tayyib. So as I said, this is an absolute, blatant lie, and by that logic, my God, what kind of conclusions can we draw? Okay. So the person went on and said that, I tempered my comments by saying something basically, which is that I have never, and I still do not, and I never will tell people just go out and kill people willy-nilly and so on and so forth. Of course, you know why I said that? I said that because after I made the comments that I did, I anticipated that there may be some unintelligent people out there, not my audience, but unintelligent people who may come across this sermon and they may accuse me of saying certain things that I did not say. So I thank God that He inspired me to say those words. But of course they're not enough for this moron, this imbecile, this sad excuse for a human being. Okay? But in an age where, or when the radicalization of Muslim youth, hang on a second, the radicalization of Muslim youth is a problem? That is your claim. There is nothing to prove that. I am a Muslim who grew up in this country. I am a Muslim who deals with the Muslim youth on a regular basis. The biggest problem we have is not youth becoming radicalized. So if you can give me an example of a handful of youth, now you're going to judge what, an entire community? Do you want me now to use that same logic and find how many Christians are in prison for certain crimes and say that the rest of the population is like that? Of that age group? And I mean, come on, let's grow up. Okay? So no, it is not a problem. It is not a problem. But the media and the powers that be want it to seem like a problem so that they can promote and keep Islamophobia alive and kicking. Alive and kicking. This is what the issue is. I deal with them every day. For God's sake, we have a problem having them pray. What more do you want? The basics of this religion, the foundations of this religion, the pillars of this religion are 5. The first of them being to bear testimony, to bear witness that there is none worthy of worship besides God, Allah, and that Muhammad Sallallaahu alayhi wasallam is His final messenger. The next pillar immediately after that is the 5 daily prayers. We can't get them to pray on a regular basis. I'm talking about the masses out there. Sadly, I have to admit it. What radicalization are you talking about? We can't even get them to pray. And you're telling me that we're radicalizing them? It's radical for me to tell people to be decent and to stand before their Creator and pray? It's radical for me to say, stand before your Creator so you will remember Him. And so that will prevent you from doing harmful things and evil things? That's radical? Wow. Amazing. If you're talking about a handful who went out and did crazy things, well, that's not my fault. But then again, it's not only Muslims who have the monopoly on craziness. There are others who are crazy too. Okay, so there are all sorts of right-wingers and whatnot who do silly and idiotic things. Okay, so now I'm going to say that Canadian youth are becoming radicalized because of what? Because of a number of them who may have done stupid things or crazy things? Or, I could choose any other segment of society and say that about them? Of course, we are not going to say that because it's not fair, it's not just. That's not how we do things. But obviously, this individual doesn't have 2 brain cells to rub together and come up with something coherent and something that makes sense. Okay. Something else that they said, imagine for a moment if a priest, so basically they're trying to say that if a priest or a pastor or a rabbi were to do this, it would be the end of the world. And come on, give it a break. Or give it a rest, give us a break. You know what? There are many out there who probably speak against Islam and the Muslims. But you know what? We live in a country where you talk about freedom of expression and you have the freedom of saying what you want as long as it is not inciting hatred and so on and so forth. Okay? Just because it hasn't been reported, it doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. Okay? Go on YouTube and go on wherever, and you can see all the types of insults that come from all sorts of people. Okay, you know what? We're not going to begin World War III because of that, and we're not going to come and start accusing everybody of spreading hatred and so on and so forth just because 1 or 2 people out there who may have done that. So, that's again just a ridiculous comment made in order to gain the audience that this person is looking for, and that is an audience who will show hatred towards Islam and Muslims. And of course they said that they called my home and whoever it was didn't pass the phone on to me and hung up. Of course they're going to hang up. Who's going to respond to an idiot? Okay, I have a right. Is that against the law for me not to respond to the phone? Is it against the law for my wife not to give me the phone if somebody calls for me? No, because we've been there, done that. All right, so we have every right to not take your calls. End of story. On the video it says that I also said, do you know that you and I must be offended when people say that they worship Jesus or when they say that Jesus is the Son of God? Guess what? I stand 100% by those words. I said those words, and I stand by them 100%. If someone were to attribute what I deem to be evil qualities, something filthy to my loved ones, somebody said something nasty about my mother or my wife or my daughter or my sister, of course I would be offended. So what about when they say something which is deemed to be blasphemy in my religion? Why should I not be offended? I can be offended. Now listen, if somebody says something nasty about my family, I may be offended. But does that mean I'm going to be, I'm going to be so hyped up that I'm going to go and kill everybody that says something? Come on. Once again, grow up for God's sake. Use that brain matter that you have. Okay? So how does saying that I'm offended mean that I'm going to be violent? Only an idiot will say that. Okay? We've been living here for how long? People say, Jesus is our Lord, and all the time. I'm offended. I dislike it. Go back to my sermon and listen to what I said about the heavens and the earth and the mountains. God tells us how they react to those words. Okay? I can be offended. It does not then necessitate me being violent. So when I tell you you should be offended by something, that doesn't mean I'm telling you that you should go and act violently towards others and do crazy things. No sane individual will take that from what I have said. And then they went on to say, there are those who will say to them, Merry Christmas. In other words, Muslims who might say to non-Muslims, Merry Christmas. What are you congratulating them on? Congratulations on the birth of your Lord. Is that acceptable to a Muslim? Are you now approving of their beliefs? He asked. Guess what? My question still stands. Why should I change it? Why are you wishing somebody Merry Christmas as a Muslim? Do you not know what this holiday is all about? How it originated? Okay, so my question stands. Okay, this is a Christian holiday, and it is based on what Islam deems to be blasphemy. Look it up. Look up Christmas in the dictionary. See what you get. It's right in the name, Christmas. It's a Christian holiday. That's how it originated. Now, whether or not people have distorted it and made it something else, that's not my problem. What I'm worried about, what I'm concerned about is what its origins are. And as for blasphemy, yes, I believe it to be blasphemy according to Islamic teachings. Okay, and blasphemy, by the way, if you look it up in the dictionary, there are different things that are mentioned as for the definition. The act of insulting or showing contempt or lack of reverence for God. This is the definition we're looking for. In the Hadith Qudsi, the Prophet ﷺ tells us that Allah said, God said, Shatamani Abdi, that my slave has reviled me, has insulted me. And that insulting of me is saying that I have taken a son. And it is not becoming of me to take a son. So of course, in my religion, I was speaking to a Muslim audience. I'm saying that is blasphemy. So how can I then congratulate somebody on something that I deem to be blasphemous and actually, as I said in my sermon, it's unspeakable. How could anybody claim that? A Muslim will never accept that. Because if they did, they would no longer be Muslim. Simple, plain and simple. Yes, I know what I'm saying. I'm not high on anything. Okay? All right. Okay, so you know what? I just made a few notes. I said again, if I do not believe in the festival, then why on earth would I congratulate someone on it? Especially when I know it is rooted in beliefs that are completely contrary to my beliefs. By doing so, while not believing in that, is it not a form of hypocrisy? Okay, some call it being polite, but no, it's hypocrisy. I come to a person and I say to them, you marry this or that. I wish them well on something that I find reprehensible. And by the way, for those Muslims who are listening, and those who made all those ridiculous and idiotic comments, and just as an aside, I received a lot of messages, whether it be through email or through Facebook and so on and so forth, WhatsApp. Let me tell you something. Few of those messages were reasonable. Few of them were logical. Few of them were civil. And it pains me to say it, but the truth has to be said. Perhaps the most civil dialogues I had were with non-Muslims, not with Muslims. That's how brainwashed some Muslims have become. I'm talking about from the ones that came to me. Seriously. To have a discussion that was, decent and civil. I probably had more non-Muslims engage in a civil manner than I did Muslims. A reality, I'm not going to lie. Why should I lie? That's the way it happened. Anyways, so so I'm not going to wish somebody well on something that I deem to be reprehensible. I was saying, for Muslims who are listening, if you don't find it reprehensible that people think Jesus is Lord, that He's God, or that He's the Son of God, then, to that other unintelligent person that sent a message saying that he studied the Quran inside out and so on and so forth, then he wished me a Merry Christmas and said that I should go back to learning Islam 101. Well, I say to him, go back and learn the meaning of the word Islam. Go back and learn the Shahada, the first pillar of Islam. Come on, are you serious? So if you happen to believe and agree that Jesus is Lord and that He's the Son of God, then okay, then you want to be a Christian, that's really your choice. We're not asking you to go in that direction, but if that's what you choose, then that's up to you. So if you don't find it reprehensible, then you have another problem. And that is that you don't find reprehensible what Allah finds reprehensible. Allah feels insulted by that, if I can use that term. Allah is angered by that, but you're not. You think, well, let them be. Well, yeah, we let them be, meaning that we're not going to now fight people because of that. We're not going to now, go to churches and blow them up and do some crazy things. That is their belief. That's fine. But does it mean that me as a Muslim, I have to remain silent and not speak up and say to other Muslims, listen, this is not true. This, according to the Quran, according to the authentic Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, is false. It is unacceptable in Islam. All right? So yeah, I mean, of course I deem congratulating someone on those occasions to be a terrible thing, because it is based on something that we don't believe in. Okay, now let's move on. This is not the first time, and of course, this probably gets some more readership. This is not the first time Kathrada has said controversial things. In October of 2016, he was denounced for other sermons he posted online. Really? Really? In 2016? You're a liar. Show me when in 2016 that happened. And I'm not going to tell you when it really happened. You know why? Because then I'll be doing your job for you. Pay me and I'll do it for you. I don't come cheap. Not for idiots like you. Okay? So nothing like that happened in 2016. And then, they went on and, oh yes, and they claimed that I said that the Prophet tells us, O Muslim, O slave of Allah, that verily behind me is a Jew, then come and kill him. Yeah, that's probably because you heard the snippet like you did this time around as well. Our Prophet didn't tell us. But again, I'm not going to tell you the answer. I want you to go back and listen to what has been said. Or maybe you can, there's something called the internet. And if you Google, there are some sites, let me give you one, islamqa.info, that might give you that hadith, that, prophetic tradition that I was referring to. Not that the Prophet said to us, come on, there's a Jew behind me, come and kill him. No, no, no. That is not what I said. Once again, inaccurate. And of course, I believe it was intentional. If not, then I guess it's even worse. Then it's even worse. All this, irresponsible behavior. And then they claimed further in their article that I'm a contributor to a particular website in Calgary. Oh, guess what? I'm not. If people choose to share some of my writings or some of my lectures, I mean, who am I to stop them? They don't even need my permission. It's out there on the internet. If they wish to, they can do so. But I'm not, they didn't come to me and ask me for my permission, number one. Secondly, or if they did, I would have given it anyways. That's not a problem. But I was not asked to write for them or speak for them. This is what a contributor implies, is it not? If I'm a contributor to your website, it means that I am writing for you. Okay, that's also inaccurate, and that is untrue. Again, I have no problem with people sharing things. That's up to them. That's their prerogative. Okay, so they went on, why the media silence? Is this an example of political correctness? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I get it. Okay, but let me tell you why the mainstream media probably didn't pick it up to begin with. You know why? Because they knew there was no story there. You know why? Because they had some semblance of intelligence. Okay, but then there are those who jumped on the bandwagon after that, but that's because they didn't want to be left out, right? Of course, this is a sensationalism to get more hits, to get more, click bites, to increase our readership and viewership. That's why maybe they took it afterwards. Tayyib. Let's move on. That was one. There's another article that came out, and it says here that a YouTube video said to be shot in Victoria, in which Sheikh Younus Kathrada equates wishing people Merry Christmas to being worse than murder, has attracted international attention. I asked the question again, really? Really? I equated it to murder? Me, Younus Kathrada, that's what you said here? Liar. I didn't say it. That wasn't my opinion. But again, if you had an ounce of integrity in you, you wouldn't have said these words. But of course you have an agenda. It is all well known. Okay? He goes on to say, it would be better for Muslims to commit every known sin, including murder, rather than acknowledge a false festival. Wow. You see? Again, anyone who heard the actual sermon knows well that this is not what I said. That is not what I said. Again, go back and listen if you want to really know the truth. Okay, and then they quote, if a person were to, the whole thing, and I say, really? Really? That was me presenting my opinion? Is that really what I said? Answer, once again, is no, that is not what I said. Irrespective of whether I agree with that opinion or not. You're saying that these were my words. In other words, I am saying this. This is my opinion. I never said that. Okay? Anyway, nobody from that group could be reached for comment. Calls to a phone number listed as belonging to Younus Kathrada went unanswered. Yeah, because I'm not compelled to respond to you. Who are you? Since when did I owe you anything? I don't owe you anything. Okay, so I'm not compelled to respond to all of your calls or your emails and whatnot. Okay, I will respond to whomever I please. That is my prerogative. It's my right. All right. Now, let's get to the basics. I'm not going to do as others do. Oh, I'm sorry I said. Oh, no, I'm not sorry I said what I said. Because I didn't say, first of all, what you claim I said in your papers or wherever else you're making these claims. I'm going to go back to basics. Because then and only then will the intelligent understand where I'm coming from. Okay? Said to you before, when we talk about matters, we go back to the book of Allah, the Quran, and we go back to the authentic sunnah, the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad Sallallaahu alayhi wasallam. All right? Let's go back and ask ourselves about Islam. What is Islam? Who is the founder of Islam? You're going to get all kinds of answers. I've done it. When I've done talks for different groups on Islam, when I ask these questions, the most basic questions of all, people are not able to answer. Even many Muslims get the answer to that question wrong. Who's the founder of Islam? Of course, it will say Muhammad, the vast majority. No, it wasn't Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was a messenger. The last messenger. But the founder, if you want to use that terminology, it was God, Allah Himself. Okay? Islam, which means to submit to the will of God, to surrender to the laws of God. Islam, in that sense, in that general sense, was the religion of all prophets, beginning with Adam. Now, of course, I'm going to speak on this, and a lot of people will tune out, because this is not what they want to hear. They wanted to hear something sensational. No. You want a clarification? And especially for some Muslims who don't seem to understand the most basic parts of Islam. They need to hear this. because this is what our religion is. All right, so let me go back then to these basics. The most basic, the fundamental pillar of Islam, what Islam is based on. What is it? It's not eating halal meat. It's not, celebrating Eid. That's not what the most basic and most fundamental pillar of Islam is. It is the principle of monotheism, the principle of the worship of only one God. This is what Islam is based on. Believing that there is only one God, and He alone deserves to be worshipped. No acts of worship can be directed to any human being other than Him, or any creature other than Him. Not angels can be worshipped, nor can prophets be worshipped. No men can be worshipped. So we don't believe in this concept of saints where people worship these individuals. We don't believe in worshiping prophets. We don't believe in worshiping angels. We give them all their due credit. We acknowledge that angels are a creation and they never sin and so on and so forth, yes, but we don't worship them. They worship Allah. Prophets worship Allah. The righteous and the pious worship Allah. I'm speaking from the Islamic perspective. All right? As for the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, as I said, he was a messenger. وَمَا مُحَمَّدٌ إِلَّا رَسُولٌ قَدْ خَلَتْ مِنْ قَبْلِهِ الرُّسُلُ. Muhammad is not but a messenger. Other messengers have passed on before him. طيب. Al-Islam. People might, freak out when I say that Islam is the only correct religion and the only true religion. You know what? It's not me who's saying it. It's not me who decided that. This is what I get from the book of Allah, the Quran. Inna deena indallahi al-Islam. So Allah, in no uncertain terms, tells us that indeed the religion in the sight of Allah is Islam. That is the only acceptable religion to Him. Do we acknowledge that there are other religions around? There are hundreds of religions around. But we don't believe that any of them are true and correct. That's our belief. You don't agree with it, that's your prerogative. You think that they're all, different paths leading to the same end? That's your choice. We don't subscribe to that. In the Quran, we are told that no. وَمَن يَبْتَغِي غَيْرَ الْإِسْلَامِ دِينًا فَلَنْ يُقْبَلَ مِنْهُ وَهُوَ فِي الْآخِرَةِ مِنَ الْخَاسِرِينَ. Again, in the Quran, whoever desires a religion other than Islam, وَمَن يَبْتَغِي غَيْرَ الْإِسْلام فَلَنْ يُقْبَلَ مِنْهُ, then it will most certainly not be accepted from him. وَهُوَ فِي الْآخِرَةِ مِنَ الْخَاسِرِينَ. And in the hereafter, they're from amongst the losers. طيب. قُلْ مَا كُنْتُ بِدْعًا مِنَ الرُّسُلِ وَمَا أَدْرِي مَا يُفْعَلُ بِي وَلَا بِكُمْ إِنْ أَتَّبِعُ إِلَّا مَا يُوحَى إِلَيْهِ. طيب. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was told by Allah Jalla wa Ala, say, I am not something original among the messengers. Meaning what? It means I'm not the first one to have been sent. Nor do I know what will be done with me or with you. I only follow that which is revealed to me, and I am not but a clear warner. طيب. This is why we say that those believers who followed their messengers in their times. So if we're talking about, say, the Prophet Noah, if we're talking about the Prophet Abraham, if we're talking about the Prophet Musa, Moses, if we're talking about the Prophet Isa, Jesus, those who did follow them in their time, okay, guess what? They are considered to be Muslims because they submitted to the will of God, because they surrendered to the laws of God. They obeyed their prophet. This is the believing of the belief of a Muslim. They will enter paradise because of their Islam, because they were Muslims. Okay, but as we learn from the Quran and the Sunnah, if any of them now Okay, later on now we're talking about the Prophet Isa, Jesus alayhi salam, being, having passed on. Well, not passed on in the sense that he's dead. That's another story altogether. He's been raised up unto Allah. Anyways, so if they now were to make it to the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam or after that, then they would have to follow Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is the belief of the Muslims. Okay, and this is again something very clearly that Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala mentioned. Whoever followed the Sharia, okay, the laws of the Torah and the Injil, which were not tampered with and not changed, okay, then they were upon the religion of Islam. Okay, like the ones who were on the Sharia of the Torah, as I said again, with not the one that was changed and so on and so forth, before the coming of the Messiah, okay, Jesus. In any event, I think the matter is very clear in our minds. Look, I mentioned that all the prophets were Muslim by definition, meaning in the general sense, meaning that they followed the will of God. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا مِنْ قَبْلِكَ مِنْ رَسُولٍ إِلَّا نُوحِي إِلَيْهِ أَنَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا أَنَا فَاعْبُدُونَ. This is from the Quran, Surah Al-Anbiya, Ayah 25. And we sent not before you any messenger, except that we revealed to him that there is no deity except me, so worship me. Can it be more clear than that? The Prophet Sallallaahu alayhi wasallam said, Ana awla nasi bi Isa, until the end of that hadith. Let me quickly give you the meaning of that hadith. I am the closest of people to Jesus, Isa ibn Maryam, the son of Mary, peace be upon him, alayhi salam, in this world and the hereafter. The prophets are like half brothers. Their mothers are different, but their religion is one. All right, and this is in Sahih Muslim. طيب. Al-Hafidh ibn Hajar alayhi rahmatullah. Okay, what does he say? This is a commentator, one of the scholars who commented. He said, what this hadith means is that the basis of their religion is one, namely Tawheed, or affirmation of the oneness of Allah, even though the minor details of their laws differed. Okay, so again, it is very clear. Now, looking to the Quran, we said this is our manhaj, this is our methodology, not me coming and presenting my opinions, I think. No. Let's listen to what God has to say. What does he say about the Prophet Nuh or Noah? All right, in Surah Younus, Ayah 72, وَأُمِرْتُ أَنْ أَكُونَ مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. And I was commanded to be amongst the Muslims, those who submit to Allah. Ibrahim alayhi salam, the Prophet Abraham, إِذْ قَالَ لَهُ رَبُّهُ أَسْلِمْ قَالَ أَسْلَمْتُ لِرَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. Wow. I mean, they are so clear, these verses. When God said to him, that is Abraham, okay, when his Lord said to him, Aslim, that is, submit, surrender. In other words, be a Muslim. He said, Aslamtu li Rabbil Alameen, that I have submitted to the Lord of the worlds. The prophets Ibrahim and Yaqub, or Jacob, alayhim as-salam, what was their advice to their children? Their advice to their children was, فَلَا تَمُوتُنَّ إِلَّا وَأَنْتُمْ مُسْلِمُونَ. And Abraham instructed his sons to do the same. And so did Jacob, saying, O my son, indeed Allah has chosen for you this religion, so do not die except while you are Muslims. Surah Al-Baqarah, Ayah 132. The children of Jacob, the children of Yaqub alayhi salam, how did they respond to their father when he said, Ma ta'buduna min ba'di? What will you worship after me? نعبد إلهك وإله آبائك إبراهيم وإسماعيل وإسحاق إلها واحدا ونحن له مسلمون. Or were you witness when death approached Jacob, when he said to his sons, what will you worship after me? They said, we will continue to worship your God and the God of your fathers, Abraham and Ishmael and Isaac, one God, and we are Muslims, that is, in submission to him. The Prophet Moses, Musa alayhi salam, Ya qawmi, in kuntum amantum billahi fa'alayhi tawakkalu in kuntum Muslimin. And Moses said, O my people, if you have believed in Allah, then rely upon Him if you should be Muslims. Isa, Jesus alayhi salam, what does he say? Now when it comes to the issue of the disciples, okay, what did they say? Amanna billahi washhad bi anna muslimun. He said, who are my supporters for the cause of Allah? The disciples said, we are supporters for Allah. We have believed in Allah and testify that we are Muslims, that is submitting to Him. قالوا آمنا به إنه الحق من ربنا إنا كنا من قبله مسلمين. Anyways, the verses in the Quran, the ayat in the Quran are plenty which indicate all of this. All right. So it comes now to the issue of, because this is the big thing right now that they made out of it, the issue of congratulating, saying Merry Christmas, for example, or Happy Easter, or whatever, to Christians, or to use other greetings for people who follow other religions for their religious festivals. Okay? Knowing, of course, that religious festivals, they are just that. They have religious origins. They are based on something. And the fact that they are based on something religious is sufficient for us. We have nothing to do with it. If it is not sanctioned by Allah and His Messenger, then we have nothing to do with it. Every religion, every people, they have their rites and they have their festivals. Those are for them. Okay? Others are not obliged to subscribe to those beliefs. We have to be understanding of this, and we have to be mindful of this. You have certain beliefs, and based on that you have certain holidays that you follow. Now, people will tell me, but now we just do it for a good time. Well, then I'm sorry to say, but you're not a person of principle. Where is your belief system? If you don't believe in it, look, if I were to come across a person who won the lottery, or who went to gamble, and they won the jackpot, like they just came out with a ton load of money, they're happy, right? Why should I be happy for them? And why should I congratulate them when I believe that gambling is a sin? And I believe it is a crime. Because, well, first and foremost, because God deemed it to be so. But after that, because of what we see it can do to society. What does gambling do to society? Don't even take my word for it. You don't even have to listen to Muslims. Look at statistics. Wow. And if there wasn't money in it for the casinos and whatnot, then they wouldn't be doing it. They're making tons of money. Sure, people are making money as well, but how many have lost? How many people have lost their livelihood? They have lost their lives, so to speak, because of gambling. Literally their lives when they commit suicide, some of them. And others, they lose their families, they lose their belongings. Their lives are turned upside down. So now you want me to congratulate a person for partaking in something that I deem to be so evil? I'm not going to do it. Okay? Now, others may be, okay. And I want to give examples, and they may seem extreme, but they're not. They are a reality. Okay? Now you have a playboy who likes to sleep around. Okay? And he brags about it. One day he comes to school and he says, guys, I hit 100. I've sacked 100 women. Nailed them. Waliyadu billah. I'm talking to you in the language of what I'm accustomed to from when I was at school. So he was able to sleep with 100 women. Pat him on the back and say, I'm happy for you because you're happy. Congratulations. Really?
I want to be like you.
So now you expect me to congratulate a person for fornicating? I'm supposed to approve of that? If I congratulated them, that is an indication of my approval. How could I congratulate them? Aren't you going to say, good luck to me for the 101st one? I mean, what sense does it make? So listen, there are many things. I mean, some people may take pride in crimes that they commit. Okay? They were able to hit a bank. And you got so much, so they're happy. They're celebrating. Drug dealer gets a new territory, conquers his enemy. Beginner gets his first million. He and his family are happy. Am I supposed to now congratulate them on these things? No sane human being will say that unless they're like them. But these are things that we disapprove of. So why would I congratulate somebody on a thing that I disapprove of, that I do not believe in? As a matter of fact, I believe it to be evil. I believe it to be wrong. Let's come back to the issue of Christmas. Christmas is a Christian holiday. According to the beliefs of the majority of Christians, they claim, and even that, I mean, even they know that it's a bogus holiday. Read what Christians have to say about it. Read what historians have to say about it. Okay? We believe it's bogus because we find that in our book. Not the mention of the word Christmas, because, of course now there are people, again, how unintelligent have we become? People who came to me and said, or at least they sent me messages, well, it doesn't say anything about Merry Christmas in the Quran. Like, really? You want every little... Where is your intelligence? But look, لَقَدْ كَفَرَ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ ثَالِثُ ثَلَاثَةٍ. I mean, this preaching against the concept of Trinity, this mention of how it is an aberration to say that God has a son. All of that is found in the Quran. Listen to the sermon and I mentioned the ayat, and some of the ayat, some of the verses, we speak of that. So now it is based on something which is blasphemous, something which angers Allah, something which Allah disapproves of. So for me even to say, I'm just trying to be polite. So out of politeness, are you going to say congratulations to the murderer who killed someone? He's proud of himself. Maybe that murderer killed another criminal. But guess what? For a lay person, for the average person to go and kill a murderer is against the law. First, against Islamic law, but also against Canadian law. So congratulating that person is showing approval of what they did. Why would you congratulate him? Good for you. That guy was a scumbag. So then, you wouldn't have said it unless you approved of what that person did. Think, be logical. Open up your minds. Don't be, sheep. Don't just listen, just because something sounds good, oh wow, No, that's not what life is about. Have principles. Live by what you believe in. I believe that they are being blasphemous. That is their belief, that's up to them. I'm not here to coerce them. I'm not here to force them to change their beliefs. But when I discuss things with a Christian or a Jew or a Hindu or a Sikh or whatnot, I'm going to present to them my religion as it is. And they can present theirs to me as they wish. All my duty is to present it to them. Whether they accept or not, that is not in my hands. إِنَّكَ لَا تَهْدِي مَنْ أَحْبَبْتَ. You cannot guide whomever you please and you wish. It is not for la ikraha fi din. We subscribe to all of this. There is no compulsion in religion. You cannot force a person to accept your religion. Those who become Muslim in the West, nobody's holding a gun to their heads. Nobody's got a sword to their throats. They become Muslims because they're convinced. That's up to them. Nobody forces them to do so. All right? So again, logically, I don't even need to get into you don't congratulate somebody on something that you don't believe in. If you do, you are an unprincipled person at the least. And this is why I said, if a person now were to believe in it and approve of it, as they are giving that, those wishes, as they are saying Merry Christmas, for example, meaning that, wonderful, what you're doing is great. Jesus, the Son of God. Well, then you're not even a Muslim, so that's fine, that's your choice. That is your choice. It's not for me to come and force you to believe otherwise. But don't tell me that a principled Muslim, one who understands what I mentioned, that this religion is based upon the worship of only one God, and we believe in the Quran completely. Don't tell me that we can be okay with saying Merry Christmas. You prove to me how it can be okay. Out of politeness, okay, then so go and congratulate the fornicators then. You won't do it unless you're one of them. Or you happen to have that mentality where you think it's okay, there's nothing wrong with it. Or a rapist. Extreme examples? Well, they're not extreme. They are real examples. طيب. Did I, Younus Kathrada, say my opinion is that go and do all the sins that you want, but wishing somebody a Merry Christmas is worse than you committing all of those sins? I personally did not say that as an opinion of mine. And what my opinion is neither here nor there. What I was saying is that some of our pious predecessors, بَعْضُ سَلَفِنَا الصَّالِحِ, said this of them, Ibn Taymiyyah alayhi rahmatullah. That's what I said. But because Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah and others like him were addressing intelligent audiences, they could make that statement without it being misinterpreted. Okay? They could make that statement without it being misinterpreted. So we're talking from a religious perspective. We're talking from a moral perspective. What does Allah tell us in the Quran? إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَغْفِرُ أَن يُشْرَكَ بِهِ وَيَغْفِرُ مَا دُونَ ذَلِكَ لِمَنْ يَشَاءُ. Again, we just go to simple, basic verses in the Quran. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَغْفِرُ أَن يُشْرَكَ بِهِ. Allah does not forgive that partners should be set up with Him. Allah does not forgive that others should be worshipped alongside Him or beside Him. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَغْفِرُ أَن يُشْرَكَ بِهِ. Okay, meaning what? Meaning if a person dies in that state, it will never be forgiven for them and they are doomed to hell. That's what it means. A person may do that in their life and then they may repent of it and then start worshipping only Allah, even if it's moments before they die. And they die upon monotheism, they die upon tawheed, they die upon la ilaha illallah, even moments before their death. Then they would be saved from the hellfire. You want Islamic belief? I'm giving you Islamic belief. The uncle, Abu Talib, the uncle of the Prophet ﷺ, when he was on his deathbed, up until that point he had not accepted Islam. And it was known he's going to die anytime. What did the Prophet ﷺ tell him? He invited him to say these words, La ilaha illallah. And as a result of that, he would stand for him on the Day of Judgment before Allah, before God. He would intercede on his behalf. But Abu Talib didn't say those words because he understood the implications of those words. He could have, out of politeness, oh, I loved this nephew of mine, I protected him during his life. He could have said out of politeness to my nephew, let me just say the words. But you know what? The people of that time, they understood the implications. It means when you say La ilaha illallah, you reject every other religion. You reject every other object of worship besides Allah. They didn't say those words for a reason. Look, the prophets, because somebody might question, oh, even moments before they die, hang on a second. This happened with the uncle of the Prophet Sallallaahu Alaihi Wasallam. Tayyib, let's look at the Prophet Sallallaahu Alaihi Wasallam with his Jewish neighbor. Do you know that he used to visit even non-Muslims when they became ill? He visited his Jewish neighbor. The son was ill. And the Prophet ﷺ invited him to La ilaha illallah. There is none worthy of worship other than Allah. The kid looks at his father. The father says, Atir Abul Qasim. Obey Abul Qasim, which was the nickname of the Prophet ﷺ. And the Prophet ﷺ says, Alhamdulillahi alladhi najjahu minan nari bi. He didn't say, so he said, all praises and thanks belong to Allah who saved him from the fire through me. He didn't say, dude, I did it. I saved him. No, he didn't say that. He attributed it to Allah. All praises and thanks belong to Allah who guided him. But I was the tool, I was the instrument through me. You see? So the matter is very clear. Now, this whole thing, they're making it sound as though we Muslims are, or practicing Muslims, or as they would call us, radical Muslims, are all about, we got steam coming out our nostrils and our ears, and we got fire in our eyes every time we see a non-Muslim. For goodness sake, we live with non-Muslims. We have neighbors who are wonderful. When we see them, we greet them. If we knew that they had a child, for example, we would congratulate them. If we knew that they graduated from university, we would congratulate them. On their marriage, we would congratulate them. On the birth of a child, on whatever. These are non-religious matters. Why not congratulate them? It's not a problem. They deal with us nicely, we deal with them nicely. This is how we're living. We work with people who are non-Muslim. We go to school with people who are non-Muslim. We share food with them sometimes. Not a big deal. There's nothing, I don't know where these people in the media are coming from. They want to make us look like savages. Okay, but that's not. Those who live around us, those who see us, we're normal human beings. We say please, we say thank you, we open the door for people. Come on. We're kind to people because this is what our religion teaches us. We don't falsely accuse people of things. When the shootings happened in Quebec, I spoke about it. And guess what? I didn't go on a rampage or a rant and say that, look at these Canadians. I said anyone who says that is not being fair. Do not say that all Canadians are like that, or if the person were to be a follower of a particular religion. I said, do not say that religion, people who belong to that religion are all against us. I said that would be unjust. It is not fair. I myself said it when those shootings took place. Okay, so you know what? These news articles are absolutely absurd and they are ridiculous. People of intelligence will see right through them. Those Muslims who were offended, then perhaps they need to listen to what was said and listen to what I said this evening. Because if you are now saying, I'm just saying it to be polite, that in and of itself is a mistake and it is wrong and it is a sin. Because you're being hypocritical and it is you showing support for something that you're supposed to be offended by. And I stand by those words. And I mentioned to you why. From the Quran and from the authentic Sunnah of the Prophet Sallallaahu Alaihi Wasallam. So let's not be hypocritical. Listen, if people say Merry Christmas to you, and usually it's in passing, you're at the cash register or whatever, thank you, and you move on usually. You don't have to respond in like. You don't believe in it, or if you have the time, say thank you. Thank you for that greeting, but I don't celebrate Christmas. They may just say whatever, but that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. Or they may say, really, how come? and then we can have a decent dialogue. We can have a conversation. But why do I have to say that greeting? Oh, because they tell us in Ramadan, Ramadan Mubarak and Eid Mubarak and Eid. That's not my problem.
We don't ask for it.
Okay, I don't expect that. And they shouldn't expect that they have to say it to me out of politeness. And let me be very frank. While I appreciate the gesture, okay, don't get me wrong. If a non-Muslim were to say to me, Eid Mubarak, for example, Happy Eid, or Ramadan or whatever. I mean, if they were to say that to me, that's fine. I mean, that's up to them. I appreciate that they're being polite. But I also kind of feel sorry that why did you feel that you needed to say that to me? Because I don't expect it. And again, with all due respect, it's quite meaningless. Because you don't believe, you don't know what is behind Eid and Ramadan. Yeah, I heard the Prime Minister talk about time for family. That's not what Ramadan is about. That's not what Eid is about. Okay, but that is what some people who have no understanding of Islam go and say. No, our religious festivals, we have 2 annual ones and 1 weekly one. They are grounded in Islamic beliefs and faith. We fast because we believe we don't have a choice. We are compelled to by God. It is not a matter of choice. It is one of the pillars of our faith. We fast because we believe we're going to meet our Creator on the Day of Judgment, and we believe that He is the one who has obligated us to observe the fast in Ramadan, and that we have to, and He told us why we fast, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, to attain piety, so that we'll be closer to Him, so that we'll be conscious of Him, so we will fulfill our obligations towards Him, and so that we will, abstain from sins and so on and so forth. This is what Ramadan is about. Not about samosas and, no. Eid al-Fitr. It's about us showing gratitude to Allah for having given us that opportunity to fast and to be obedient to Him and so on and so forth. We're there to collect our rewards. When Eid approaches, we start by remembering Allah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar wa lillahi alhamd. We declare that God is the greatest. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah. There is none worthy of worship other than Allah. So, this is what Eid is about. If you're a non-Muslim and you don't believe in that, why would you? I just committed blasphemy according to your religion. You believe that you are to worship the Son of God. So, with all due respect, I know where you're coming from. You want to be polite, but you're not a principled individual. You don't believe in what my Eid is about. My Eid is about Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar wa lillahi alhamd. This is what my Eid is about. Not eating special sweets that are made twice a year. Okay? Eid al-Adha, another holiday. No, it's not about family. Yes, we gather because part of celebrations is gift giving, part of celebrations is congratulations, part of celebrations is enjoying ourselves, but all within the guidelines laid down for us within Islam. So when you congratulate me, that's your prerogative. That is your choice. And I get where you're coming from and I appreciate it, but that's not very principled. And it really means nothing to me because you don't believe in what I believe in. So that is just, you may as well have just said hello to me. All right? Or even ask me, how's your Ramadan going? And perhaps speak to me about Ramadan and we can talk about what it entails and so on and so forth. What does my Eid entail? Yeah, this is what intelligent people do. Don't just go around congratulating people when you don't even know what they're doing. They may be doing something pretty nasty and pretty horrible, right? And for us, this is a horrible thing. This is a horrible thing. Allah has told us from above the 7 heavens. So why can we not be intelligent and logical? This is my question. So when they were talking about those scholars who said that it's worse than murder and so on and so forth, of course, in no way, shape, or form were they saying, go and commit murder, go and steal, go and fornicate, but just don't say Merry Christmas. Of course they were not saying that. They were saying that all of those are major sins. But in the big scheme of things, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَغْفِرُ أَن يُشْرَكَ بِهِ, Allah will not forgive a person who dies upon other than Islam, who dies while worshipping someone other than Allah or something other than Allah or alongside Allah, they die upon that, Allah will not forgive them. وَيَغْفِرُ مَا دُونَ ذَلِكَ لِمَنْ يَشَاءُ. And anything other than that, He might forgive. Of course, don't forget though, the Sharia is a package deal. Don't just take this ayah and... No, do you know that in a proper Islamic state, by the way, no proper Islamic state exists today. Not that I'm aware of. If you can show me a country which is Islamic, they practice Islam as it should be, and they implement the Sharia. They implement the Sharia from A to Z as it should be. I'm not aware of any such country. You may correct me, but I have yet to have somebody show me a country. But in a proper Islamic state, for those crimes, there are severe punishments. There is something called the death penalty in Islam. If a person commits certain crimes, then they may be sentenced to death. Okay, if there is a proof and evidence, and it's proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that that person committed that crime, then yes, for certain crimes, there is the death penalty. There is amputation, right? There are different penalties for different crimes. So yes, we consider them all to be very serious and severe crimes. But morally speaking, and from a religious perspective, insulting God, insulting Allah, attributing a son to Him, attributing partners to Him is even worse. It is even worse. What's so difficult to understand in that? It does not mean that we encourage people to commit all those other crimes. It doesn't mean that at all. This is a sin between that individual and Allah. They have infringed on the rights of Allah. This is why it is so severe. All right. Anyways, I'm going to leave it at that. And as I said, there could be so many other things to say, except that I wanted to clarify things on my terms. Okay. No one else will dictate. I'm not your lapdog. I am not your puppet. So good luck next time. All right. هذا والله أعلم وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Is there anything on there?
Yes, I have a few comments.
تفضل يا أخي.